And here I am, Condor DM, Steven Saunders. Welcome to the Condor DM show. Yes, baby, welcome. Welcome. We're live. We're live. It's the pre-show. So tonight I'm doing a members only stream on Stargate SG1, the role-playing game. I figured I'd do a bit of a sort of pre-show, make people happy. I know on nights I do these members only streams. Some of my open audience will be a little sour that they might miss out. So when I can, I do a sort of pre-show where they get some time with me. We can talk, we can have fun, we can do all that. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a really good mood. Always. One thing I don't like is I separate my personal views from communicating with the tabletop role playing game community. I really do. I don't bring my personal views in. And when people judge them, I go, well, first off, like, you don't know how I think. And sometimes the people that are going to judge my outside views and try to bring me down with it, it's like, dude, I think you have some views too that might be really not kosher. You know? so I don't like, it's like, look, dude, if I go at you about tabletop role-playing games, you'll notice I'm not going to bring your political views into it in that way. So if I have an issue with you, I'll focus on the games, especially if I'm talking about people in the tabletop role-playing game community. I never take a cheap shot at somebody's views because there's too much nuance and complexity in what we think. So I'm fair about that. I don't assume because you say you repost some things on X or Twitter, or you say a bunch of things on there. I just don't assume everything about you. And I assume you have the right to have those views. And I assume that I should, anytime I talk about you, should be separating that from you. Because we all have some views that are, well, it depends on who's looking and who's judging. I might look at your views and go, man, that's really bad. You might look at my views and assume things and think that's really bad. I say that's bullshit, complete bullshit, right? It's like, look, I don't care where you stand. If you come here to talk about tabletop role playing games, or if you're going to deal with me in the tabletop role playing game community, I really don't care about your politics, even if I strongly don't like them. It just don't bring that language, don't bring that stuff to me here. Come here, talk about games. We can talk about games. That's it. So when people go at me, if they go at my outside views of the tabletop role playing game hobby, right away I think that human being is a piece of fucking gutter trash. It's like, that's just not a low blow. That's so beyond the pale of what is acceptable here when we disagree with each other or go on. Like, it's, you don't bring those views up, I don't bring yours up. And trust me, if most likely, if you're willing to judge me based on my views and say, oh, you can't walk that back, well, dude, you have views you can't walk back either. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways, and not everybody buys into the picture you paint about somebody. So that's why I don't go on about, like, say someone who's left of me in the hobby, right? Like, I talk about certain people. I might talk about Matt Mercer. I know me and him probably don't agree on outside views outside of the hobby. Doesn't matter. I only talk about gaming related to him. Matt Colville. I know me and him don't have similar views outside of the hobby. Doesn't matter. I don't talk about his outside views, right? I just talk about stuff related to the games because that's what he talks about. So I think it's beyond the pale when you go at someone for what they think outside the hobby, because there's so much complexity and nuance there. It's like, it's absolutely bullshit, dude. And most likely what you think yourself, you might not see your own views as extreme, but it depends on who's looking and who knows something, right? So I never go at people for what they think outside the hobby. That's why I don't care if somebody is left of me or whatever position they are outside of the hobby. If you come here and talk about games, we talk about games. If I criticize you, it's about game talk. I think it's beyond the pale and just scumbag, a scumbag move to sit there and bring stuff up. Look, I don't mind people lying about me as far as the hobby stuff is related. It's stuff I'm used to, right? It's there's no even point in defending against it. People just want to bring you down. Okay, go ahead, lie about me. I don't care. I think it's funny. Lie, lie, lie. But when you start like talking about like what I think on the outside, and then even getting like, oh, you get to the point of threatening, like, oh, he'll have to pay a price for that. Well, dude, like, all right, calm down, dude. Calm down. That's threatening language. I don't. You should not be using that on YouTube or wherever. You should never even hint at threatening language or inspire people to be threatening towards other people. We're talking about games, and so what if I have some different views than you? Don't assume too much. Don't go crazy, because trust me, my dude, there's a lot of people out here that have crazy thoughts or crazy opinions, and each of us will think what we think is appropriate. So I look at other people and what they think is appropriate, I think is like, I might think, well, that's evil. But then you might look at me and say, well, you're evil. Well, it depends. It depends on who's saying what or who's viewing this, right? Like, why would I believe in something? Conversations are so important for nuance, but it's not a conversation I'm looking to have with people in the tabletop role-playing game hobby as my outside views. Like, just don't go beyond the pale with that stuff. Because trust me, I guarantee if you go on about me, if we dig into you, you will have views that could easily be painted as twisted madness, right? Even if they're not. Even if they're not, because you might think you know something. Fair enough, right? So it's easy to paint somebody up as something. I don't mind lies about some personal issues, but when it gets to the outside stuff, I think that's crazy. And then to even hint at threatening language, like, oh, it's like, you know, you'll pay a price for that later. Like, dude, all right, calm down, dude. We are talking about games here. Calm down. Don't be using that language. That's beyond. Let alone you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Then to even hint towards the threatening stuff and maybe inspire people that are going to watch your content to be threatening towards somebody. So you're using language that can hint at a threatening thing, and then you might inspire people to be that way. Don't do that. That's sickening. It's like, dude, I get it. You don't like what I got to say about tabletop role-playing games. Like, let's let it go. Move on. That's all this is. But hey, I can't control people, even though I'll tell you what I think is beyond the scale. Say whatever you want. I'm a public person. Fair enough. Fair enough. I say go ahead and say it. I just think if I were to put a standard, not a rule or a law, like I don't want to control how you speak, but if I were to put a standard up, I'd say that's the one area I think it's low blow. Even some of the personal things that people go on to spread lies about me on, it's so pathetic. Like what? There's one minor lie I've heard a lot, and I've never done this throughout my life. Like I worked at a gaming shop where the owner paid me for running games. It's the only time in my life I could say I was financially given something for games. Outside of that, I've had people over the years, my players, do things like, you know, like, take me to a con where they pay for certain things at the con. And I don't ask them to. It's not part of a charge thing. It's more like they're just happy to invite me. I tell them, well, I'm not going to, I don't get the money for that right now. And they'll be like, don't worry, we're paying. Okay. I've had some players in life, because I've had thousands of players that might be better off than I am. So they'll invite me out. But I've never asked them for payment for running a game ever in my life. I've heard so many times now, yeah, there was a guy who paid to play his game. That's just a casual lie. It's just a straight up casual lie. People have not paid me to play my game. I mean, outside of the one owner at a shop who paid me to run games to bring people in, it wasn't the people that played the games that paid. And understand, he's paying me to do this like it's work. I accepted it, but I even told him at the time. I said I would never charge people to play the game. He's like, well, I'll pay you. I'll pay you in their place, right? I was like, whatever, dude. I'll do it, right? Uh, uh, but yeah, I've had people sit there and give to me. And it's not like I sit there and ask for it, but I don't say no. So at a certain time, I would say I was a bit of a paid game master, but that was for a very short time. And I've said that in my history plenty of times. I've told this story more than once. So that's the only time. But I've never come online or in person and charged people to play a game. So the second you say, I talked to someone who paid to play his game, and you either say that person said it was bad or good, well, you're initially lying right away. So you haven't talked to anyone. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. And there's personalized. I've just gotten over because big YouTubers have spread some, I would call major lies, or like real character assassination, reputation destruction lies, with the intent to do so. They've had big channels. It's one guy said that it's done like 20 streams on me. There was one period where that guy, almost 10,000 subscribers now, just under 9,000, for about 6 months, he spread a lie about me and my ex. And I mean, just lie that is so inaccurate, not even close to truth. And he took a video where in the video, it's a short video at the time, because I was putting out some other content some time ago. And at one point in the video, talking about relationships, and I give an example of a guy who's had somebody cheat on him and leave him. Now, that's just an example of another person. If you listen to it in context, you won't be confused at all, right? The guy goes on the stream, he plays that video, and at that part, out of context, he plays it and then tries to tell people, claim that I'm saying that about myself. I said, no, absolutely not. That's bullshit. So I put up the video for, like, I reposted the video for everyone to see, like, here. And if you listen to 10 seconds before or 10 seconds after the statement, you know right away it's an example of another human being. Right away. And that's how quickly it breaks down, right? Like within the context. You know, right away. It's not even a hint towards myself. And I put that up so everyone knew that that wasn't true that was seeing the video. So I said, you know, it's up to him, but I know he's going to see the video again. I don't know what he's going to do. So people went back to him and said, well, you know, Condor didn't say this. Steven didn't say this about himself. That's not true. The guy goes on his stream, and I'm serious. He takes the video, he takes the piece out of context again, and he plays it in slow motion. It says, there he did say it again, instead of being honest. I was like, okay, now I know who you are. That's it. It's like, okay, you could have said you made a mistake or you were trolling, but no, he decides he'll go on the stream again, play that part, and just show he's a two-faced liar. I said, okay, if that's who you are, that's who you are. Thanks for showing me who you are. But you should never, like, it's like you don't know what somebody's exact views are. And I'm very look, I'm very focused on tabletop role-playing games in the community. And I just do not bring my personal things here. Doesn't mean I don't have some views, but I don't bring them here. I might go to another part of the internet that is separate from what I do here. I don't even share certain links to platforms I'm on elsewhere. And if I say something there, that's because that's where I've chosen to be open about who I am. It doesn't mean I drag that over to the community. I don't bring it here to YouTube, not to the comment section. There's other platforms that I go on that I do not mention this stuff on there because I go on just to talk about games. I never bring that to the hobby. So someone trying to act like I'm forcing that into the hobby is straight out lying to you. That's just a bold-faced lie. I'm allowed to say other things elsewhere. I have permission to speak and share my opinions, but it's not like I just bring it to the hobby. That's just someone trying to paint a false picture that that's what I'm doing if they want to do that, but I'm not doing that. And even if I think certain things, which I might, and you might consider them extreme, I might have my reasons. Right? That takes a further conversation for us to get into it and for you to know why I think what I think. right? But some people that will judge you, they think their thoughts or their opinions are fine. But I got to tell you, I can look at some of the people that judge me and I go, well, I know some of your opinions, and actually straight up, even though you think it's completely socially acceptable, I think what you think is completely fucking evil. So as much as you want to judge me, I guess I could turn that on you, but I'm not going to do that because it's about tabletop role playing games, and I'm not despicable. I'm not a piece of trash, right? Only a piece of trash would go beyond the pale and bring that stuff up. But hey, and for people that don't like, look, if you do find me elsewhere on the internet saying what I think about outside things away from the hobby, that's my fucking business. And if you don't like it, you don't got to be here. I don't say it to attract anyone. There's no. I look. I just want to go. I choose places where I can just speak openly or share my thoughts or opinions, and that's just to get that out of my system. That is not to attract someone or or be extreme to grow my channel. Nothing like that. Nothing. And actually, I know I have some views that might turn some people off. So if they ever find that hey, they might not want to keep supporting me. That's fine, right? But I have my reasons to think what I think, and I think they're legit, just like anybody else. And again, there's a lot of people out there that will judge you for what you think, but then I can examine what they think and go, man, what you believe is completely fucking evil. So let me turn that on you. But I don't do that because that is beyond the pale. I come here to talk about games. That's it. So when someone attacks me for my outside thoughts, like, dude, just because I say something somewhere else on the internet doesn't mean that it's not inherent that I'm bringing it into the hobby. I just don't censor myself in every location. But when it comes to just talking about games around the community, I focus on that. I don't care if you're left of me or if you don't agree with me politically. If you come here and talk about games, I will talk to you. That's it. Just don't bring your bullshit to me, and I won't bring my bullshit to you. And if people don't get that is completely fine, that's how it is, man. I don't want people supporting me in the tabletop role playing game hobby because they agree with me. That's unnecessary. Like, look, we're in the tabletop role playing game hobby. If you support me, you support me because I say something about the games that is interesting to you, right? All the other stuff is like that's unnecessary. I'm not trying to grow off it. Nothing like that. That's silly. Even to paint it that way, because so many people will be opposed to what you think, and some people will agree with it. So I don't play that cheap game. So it's people just out there painting false pictures of me doing that. I just want to be clear on that stuff. There you go. That's my opener for the pre-show. Because I know somebody recently decided to do a video where they're going on about my opinions about things outside the tabletop role-playing game hobby. It's just completely inappropriate. But hey, I don't hide it. It's just I don't sit there and overly share it either because it's not something I'm dragging into the hobby. It's like, dude, just because I'm a human being that chooses somewhere else on the internet to share certain opinions, that doesn't mean for sure I'm dragging that into the tabletop role playing game conversation. I come to YouTube for that conversation. In the comment section to hear, I do not share those thoughts. I keep it strictly to gaming. And when I criticize another tabletop role playing game person, you'll notice it doesn't matter whether they stand in politics or something. I do not bring that into the conversation. I will criticize them over the game. That's it, or over game talk. I will never bring up stuff, even if I think they're despicable in what they believe. I will not bring that up. I will still be fair and just talk about the game stuff, right? Because I choose to be neutral here. And there's plenty of people that will come by and make a comment where I won't like what they have to say about, say, the tabletop role playing stuff, but I won't sit there and care if they said something that is completely opposed to what I think outside of this. It's like, dude, I believe in freedom of speech in that way, for freedom of expression. It doesn't mean I won't remove you from my private conversation, but I won't sit there and report you or try to get you removed off a platform. And I won't do what somebody's done recently, which is not directly make a threat, but it's use this type of threatening language like, well, man, you'll pay a price for that. That's, dude. Because that doesn't just hint that you're making a threat. You can also inspire other people that listen to you as a content creator to go make threats to people. Like, that's extreme. Like that's so far over the pale. Like what? You don't like what I said about the tabletop role playing game? So I have an opinion that you don't agree with, say politically, and now you got to talk in this sort of hinting, threatening language that can inspire people that follow you to then go out and make direct threats. You should not be doing that, man. We're talking about games here. I don't do that to other people. So if I have a problem with the game stuff, I'll talk about that, right? There's plenty of people I mentioned that I know me and them outside of this just do not agree strongly. Strongly do not agree. And I still do not bring up their thoughts in the realm outside of the hobby. Right. Just beyond the pale. And if people accept that somebody does that, I think not just the person doing it, but even the person who accepts it as trash. I think you're trash. If you think it's okay to go around and go on about like people like that or make threats or do anything, yeah, I don't need you following me. You, you can unsub from the channel. I don't want trash here. I wouldn't accept somebody on my own side doing it. I wouldn't do it. And anyone who thinks it's okay to do that to people, I think you're absolute fucking garbage. I think you're fucking trash scumbags. And I don't want to stream with you, talk to you. I want to I'll cut you out of my life. You're fucking absolute trash. We're talking ideas here in gaming. It's unacceptable to sit there and say, well, it's okay to make threats towards people because they have thoughts where you don't even know the whole story. It's like I'll have my reasons to think what I think, and you have your reasons. And I could easily assume that what you believe is evil as well. I just don't bother doing that. Or I don't bother making that a big issue. I don't just assume that about everyone around the hobby, especially if it's the aim to take the shot at them. It's like, it's not how I'll take a shot at you. Like, I'll take a shot at you as far as like verbally, as far as like if I disagree with what you're saying about gaming. That's going to be the aim for me. I will never get so fucking desperate to bring someone down that I'm that pathetic. That's human scum. That's pathetic scum. You're a scumbag. You're trash. You're no good. And that's just what I got to say about people like that. Sorry, not nice language, but I don't think you're a good person. I think you're well deserving of such judgment from anybody. If you do that, I don't do that to people. I think it's beyond the scale. We're talking about games here, guys. You might not like what I have to say, but I never sit there and go over the line. Like I don't lie about people. People lie about me all the time. Like they'll paint a complete false picture of who I am. Anybody who examines YouTube and what I'm doing here on YouTube and me, it really examines just to see if things line up with exactly what's being said. They'll notice what's being said and what they see does not line up together. It breaks down. So it's like if you ever really want to know what I think outside of the hobby, well, first off, I just might not choose to talk to you about it, but it'd be better to ask. Because there might be reasons why I say something or repost something. Right? Right? So it's just you give people the fair shake because it's easy to assume a lot of crazy things about people when you just don't know why they think something. And intent and reason behind why somebody thinks something or believes it is important, right? It's very important because there's a lot of things out there where once you find out why somebody believes it, you go, okay, that's way more reasonable. But then you can meet somebody else who believes the same thing, and it's you find out why, and that's horrible. The reason why you believe that is horrible. The intent behind your belief is horrible, right? But you'll find two different people, one you're okay with and one you're not, believing the same thing. And so it's good to have a conversation, get into the nuance, and get to know people first. Or don't just assume. Just let people freely. If they don't bring that to the hobby, don't give them heat over it. Right? I don't put it in my content, my outside thoughts, and I'd say don't fall asleep. Paint people in a certain way, but people are going to do that. Like I know that as a public person, I know even if I go on another platform and I say things that are separate, just to share other opinions I have, but to separate that from me, my talk in the hobby. If you don't like me and you're not an honest person, you'll be dishonest and paint it as if I'm bringing that into the hobby. I can't control dishonest people. It's just the way it is. I get it as a public person, it's part of the game, but I think it's good to call it out or to point out that it's happening, right? But it's not good to control people. So I don't say anything with the idea of making a rule or a law that says they shouldn't be able to do that. Just I think it's absolutely despicable. I have fake reviews, fake negative reviews up about my games on Drive-Thru RPG. I've never personally emailed Drive-Thru RPG and asked them to remove those, even though they're completely fake. I would never go to someone who's lying and say, get that removed or ban them from the platform because they've done that. I've never done that with YouTube. I've never reported streams where the people are telling very vicious lies about me. I just don't do it. I just think it's like, dude, we should be able to be civil. We're civil people. So putting up a standard should get people to rethink what they've done. But I don't know. I always thought that's going to be the convincing part for many people. It depends on who they really are deep down inside, but they're going to show you their true colors. Right? It's like, here's your opportunity. No rule, no law, but are you civil? Are you so? Can you look back at what you've done and see the wrong and stop doing it? Well, you can't. Fair enough. Then at least I know who you are. But I never want to control people. I think that's pathetic. That's why I get really weirded out when people like I'll say my opinion about gaming or the way somebody games, and they paint it up as, man, you're trying to tell people how to play. Is that what I'm doing? Am I going to Tom's table and saying, Tom, I have an opinion in the YouTube video. You could have ignored it, but I guess somehow it's me telling you what to do. You might have ignored the video, but just to make sure that I guess I'm doing what I'm accused of, I have to come to the table and tell you how you should play your game. I'm trying to make a rule or law that you must follow. No, I say we have the right to say what we want to say, and we let each individual that comes by our content here, especially on YouTube, is decide if they want to keep watching. If they see anything valid in what I'm saying, like there might be somebody who plays in a certain way that I'm criticizing. I actually hope they listen to what I say, but they might not. And if they're bothered by what I say, the best thing for them to do is like click, turn it off. I mean, it's easy to want to control people. It's just better to just know that you have the freedom to not watch. You have the freedom to walk away. You have the freedom that there's nothing I say that is controlling you or telling you what to do initially. It's just me. I might say what I think. So you should never paint things up falsely. Like ever, just wrong. Because it's a wrong way of seeing it. It's like, dude, like if I'm just giving my opinion, that's all it is. It's an opinion, not an attack on you. And I'm sorry that you identify with a certain way of maybe playing the game or a game you like. I get that you identify with it, but it still is not a justification to control the language of people, like what they say. And painting it as an attack or drama, that's why I get mad at that stuff, because when you do that stuff, that is, again, an attempt to control speech. It's to label something that is justified, like that is actually justified. It's okay to criticize games or way people play a game. It's completely okay. It's not beyond the pale to do so. And it is not you trying to control people. It's just you saying what you think. That's it. So there you go. Now you know my thoughts on all that, which I think is sad that I've even had to say any of that. But oh, there, I said it. Now you know. Now you know where I stand. All I know is the most I can do is reason with reasonable people, because that's all I'm trying to attract to my YouTube channel. Is reasonable people. People of good reasoning that are fair-minded. It's not about having to agree with me, but if they're fair people, they'll get my points. They'll consider it. It's like, okay, that's the kind of person I want to reason with. If you're dishonest and you go along with lies, especially over petty things like somebody's gaming opinion about like tabletop role-playing games, Like if you're that low that you'll do that, I don't know. It speaks very poorly of your character, of who you are as a person in life. Right? It's like, look, disagree with me, argue with me. That's it. That's all you can do. What influence do I have on the whole hobby? Not much, man. Like I know I make an impact when I bring up ideas, but that's just to get people to think and talk and consider things. It's not like an impact like I'm controlling the hobby. It's not like I'm controlling a narrative, right? So it's like I bring something up, and if a lot of people aren't bringing it up, well, it depends on how people want to react to me too, right? So people, like I tell some people, man, you get mad at me as if I have more sway, but in a way, the more you react to me, the more sway you're giving me. Like I'm just saying something about a game. So how do you react to that? Just as me saying something about a game, or do you get deeply offended by what I say? Like deeply offended. Like, do you think I'm destroying an agenda? Well, maybe I am trying to push back on an agenda, but how much sway do you give my words? That's up to you, right? It's your perception. Like people going, well, you have a small channel. Why? I don't have a big YouTube channel, but then I'll get reactions like I do have some big following. Like I do have major sway, and they're pushing back hard on me. In some cases, to try not to acknowledge me, people will mention what I'm saying without mentioning my name, or they'll push back on something I'm pushing pretty hard that nobody else is. And I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. And then there's a lot of people that I hate to say it, it sounded like ego, like I think I'm better than you, but there's a lot of people out there that I don't know. My instincts tell me after like 7 years of watching a certain group, a lot of people compare themselves to me. I'll see them go on stream and they're talking. I'm like, okay, so you're the way you're talking is definitely a counter to what I say about myself or what I say. And a lot of people just won't even say my name and try to dismiss what I'm saying. Even people that pretend they're actually cool with me, like they're okay with me. Then they'll go on a stream where they'll try to find a way to dismiss any authority, any sway I have and what I'm saying. Well, don't listen to people like this for this reason, which would mean that I end up grouped in with that. And so it's like, well, dude, well, that means you're aiming that at me too. Like, just have a set of nuts if you want to say my name. Say my name and say that person doesn't have credibility. Why? Why be passive aggressive? Why this bullshit? That's how some people are. Now, I'll say that, but I get it why people don't say the name. But here's the difference. Why I would say people can say my name is because I don't paint everything people do as just an attack. And if they make a point, if I hear a point that I think is worth confronting the point, people will notice I actually confront the point because I think the point is important, even if I could cheaply dismiss it by saying, well, he said my name, now I'll just call it an attack and ignore what he said. Like I don't gotta be two-faced. So I'll just like, well, what's the idea you're saying? So a lot of people will hear me actually counter an idea on here where my name was mentioned in relation to the idea. I could say the person said my name and dismiss it as an attack, but that's that's done by cheap people like dime a dozen. I'm like, no, even if I'm unhappy with it being sort of an attack, maybe, or using my name, uh, I like to practice what I preach. And to me, to be that cheap and just ignore a point that's being made is unfair. Counter the point. Counter the point. That's because the point is important. Even if I feel a certain way, because my feelings need to be put in the back burner, I'd say to myself, what's more important? Me dismissing this in the cheap way, or me understanding the point could have a point. There could be truth in it. There could be a good reason to confront this. It's healthy to talk about this. Well, I'll talk about the thing. It's just so many people in the tabletop role playing game hobby around me, to my left and right, sadly, they're just a lot of them are not honest people. They're just petty people, very petty people. Pettiness, uh, I mean, and just like getting extreme over my opinions or what I say. I mean, like I'll see a hint of some type of threatening hint towards me. I'm like, dude, okay, what have I done to get that? And I realize it's just because I said something about maybe I criticized the community, maybe how YouTubers in a general way are doing something. That's just criticism. It's not an attack. It's not a destruction of somebody, right? But people will think, well, they'll paint that what I've done as being extreme, which it's not. It's just them falsely seeing it that way. And then I get this very threatening language sent at me, like, or people hinting threats at me. I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Like, geez, you don't have to like me, but I mean, is this how you treat people in life that just you would just disagree with? Like, you just go around threatening everybody? Like, is this normal communication face to face? Right? I don't think it is. Most of us would never do something like this in person. I think this is sometimes I think it's an internet thing where you're behind, you're anonymous, so your emotions turn into attempt to control, and threats can be an attempt to control. False picture painting of people can be an attempt to control. Falsely painting what somebody is saying, like as an attack or drama when it's not. That's another form of control, and I hate control. I like freedom, so I try my best to practice what I preach on my end. Where I'll get picky is my own personal conversation. Like I just won't let you take part in dialogue with me if you lie or if you deceive. And I don't care how you paint up your deceit, right? I'm very picky about that. But that again, that is not me taking away your freedom to express yourself because you're still on a platform. You're still able to make open comments, videos, and I never would report you to the people that run the platform and try to get you dismissed. But yeah, I might block you from my comment section. I might block you from my chat just because I don't want to interact with you. That's my right, but that doesn't mean I'm taking your right to speak away. You have many avenues of being able to express yourself. Right. The difference is you can say what you want to say out loud. Doesn't mean I'm going to want you to sit at the same table with me all the time. Some people come by. I hate despicable things too because I notice things like I'll put up a video making an argument, and a guy will come by and he's going to make what he thinks is a very good argument against, I guess, what I'm saying. The problem is he's very deceitful. He'll dismiss what I'm saying without even establishing what I said is wrong in any way. Like, so, dude, you said what I say is wrong, and then make your argument, but your argument doesn't stand unless you establish that what I said is wrong. Like, you have to establish what I said is wrong. My points will stand, and what I'm going to do is, if you're going to ignore my points, I'll dismiss you from the conversation because I'm going to ignore yours. I'll give back what you give me. So, if you want to establish in a good way, in a good faith way, make an argument against what I said, and then once you establish that, really establish it, and then make your argument, then your argument might stand. But how does your argument stand if my points are still valid because you just dismissed without establishing what I said is wrong? Because if what I said is right, everything you say after that point doesn't hold water until you prove otherwise. You have to prove what I said is wrong. You have to show me. You have to establish that. So that's really important to dialogue on here. Now, I'm not looking for people to be geniuses. I'm not like some people from the UK or like some European snob. Hate to say that, but some Europeans, I love some European folks, but there's some YouTubers out here, the European type, that will have a mediocre take on storytelling and books and games, and they'll have an ego that's just up their ass. I'm like, that's not confidence, dude. That's just ignorance. I come on here to show confidence, and I respect who I'm talking to. That's part of being confident. If you come on here with your nose up in the air, that's just mediocre ignorance. That's not confidence. That's ego. That is just ego without real confidence behind it. So I'm not impressed by people like that. Never have been, never will be, never will be my thing. Sorry. Anyway, it's 40 minutes. Okay, folks. Give me a second. I've been drinking water all day. I've had my first, like, I went through this medical recovery. I'll say this pretty quick. So I've been going through some medical issues for a few months now, and definitely put on a couple more pounds than I wanted to. And it sort of slowed me down working out, but I'm at the recovery stage now where I'm past all that. So today was the first real workout, and it felt like I was just happy. Like I got through it like a champion, like a boss, right? I got through the workout, had a, just felt great. But I've cut some things out of my life again. For a bit there, I was probably eating more bread than I should. Cut that out. But today I'm drinking a lot of water. So I got to go take care of that. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Oh, there we are. So now people have heard my response to a video from last night. That's it. They're probably going to take off. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I bore people with that, but I'm like, dude, I'm not looking to play the drama. That's just noise I don't want. I just don't want that. It just bores me. I'm not here to entertain through drama. I don't do rage bait. I don't do yes man. So go back over, watch somebody else's video, play rage bait, fan, be shallow as shit. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Just not my thing. So again, tonight it's just pre-show right now. Pre-show. There you go. And pre-show is for the audience. So I mean, I don't know if anybody comes by and they're sub and they want to ask me a question. You can. I'm not going to talk about the Stargate SG1 game. That is for members only. So sorry, I'm not going to answer any questions related to that game. That is for members. That's a members only stream tonight. This is just a pre-show before it for people that are not members that I know get a little sour. I get it. I get it. I do get it. I'm sympathetic to it. They get a little sour with me on members only nights. I've had some where they'll unsub, and then the next night when I'm going to do a sub, the thing they want, they sub back. So I'm like, dude, I'm not going to hold that against you. But so what I try to do is do these sort of pre-off script shows where I come on and go, well, look, this is the best I can offer on members only nights. If I get a bit more time beforehand, I'll talk to you. Your cat. 9. I'm whiskey. I don't know what the 9WS totally stands for. I'm being stupefied here, Bill, but you like the cat? It's my long-haired cat, Louie. Saved him when he was a little baby kitten a few years ago. More than a few years ago, to be honest. More than a few years ago, he was a baby cat, and I'd seen him drinking from a puddle. I swear. Like I just seen there was a bunch of baby cats around. I'd seen him like probably the day before. Now we had this black cat that was an outdoor cat that the family, the people that own the cat really liked me a lot, and I like the black cat, this black female cat, and I would so every so often put some water out for her, right? And even some cat food, checked if it was okay with them. They were like, yeah, it's cool. So I put that out for her every so often when they, especially if they weren't around. And she come up to the like patio all the time, say hi, very social cat, right? Of course for the food and water, but come up and be very social. So one one day she comes up the next day after I seen this little gray cat, and the little gray cat is following her. What I don't realize is when I see little gray cat is skin and bones, very weak. And I open the door and it comes right into my apartment. I'm like, oh, okay, you chosen me, have you? Because I realized it must be an outdoor cat. It can't be somebody's kitten. You're not going to let your kitten out in that shape. That's just not going to be the case. And I decided right then and there. I said, I'll hold the door open for a second. I don't know what's going on here. Is he going to? And he stayed. So I was like, all right, dude. All right, all right. I'll take care of you. And I noticed he was really sick. So what I didn't realize, he was dying, outright dying, starving and dying. So that night I stayed up with him uh, all night, trying to get him to eat. Finally got him to eat. Finally, because we had I have another cat. Milo passed away a few years ago now, but he was still with us, and so Milo was around. The cat wouldn't eat. I finally get him to eat in the morning. He drinks a little bit, eats in the morning. So okay, fair enough. And I had to break the food up for him just to get him to eat. Right, got him to eat, and I stayed up all night with him. Then I had to stay up the next night with him, and I by day three he was up and not dying, but he was dying. Like his heart was slowing down. He was starving to death. He was just about gone, and I stayed up with him 2 nights. At the end of it, because I saved his life, I called him Lucky Louie, which is from a comedian I grew up with, where my grandmother watches comedian all the time named Lucky Louie. I said, I'm going to call you Lucky Louie. And it's just at one point I dropped Lucky. And when I dropped the word Lucky, it was just Louie. And now he's not a big cat naturally. So I understand he's small, but he's the reason he's a little fat is because he's treated like a king. Right. I love him. I love him a lot. But yeah, that's Louis. I saved his life. And he's been with me since, and he's very well behaved. He's just fidgety. It's hard to like get the camera on him. Like there's some people like put a camera on their cat or something, I guess. Somebody who doesn't like me recently. And the cat might stay around or do something. My cat Louis, the only time he stays still is when he's sleeping. That's it. There's been the odd nights or the odd streams where you might see him like laying actually for like an hour or two behind me. So he's really well behaved. Just it's fidgety when it comes to staying in one place. He doesn't do it. He likes to go around, lay down here for a while. Like he'll sleep and stay still, but that's it, right? He won't just relax. But that's good. He's an energetic kitten. I like him, and he has great personality, and he's very gorgeous, and all the neighbors love him and think he's cute as hell. So there you go. He's gray, even though you see him in black and white there. He is gray and white. Sort of like a bit of like the tuxedo, but instead of like black and white, he's gray and white. But yeah, that's Louis. He's great. And we talked, I talked about combat on the stream, so I figured like somebody said, hey man, can you do a video with Louis in it? I was like, dude, I just did a stream, my brain's burnt. He's like, I don't care what you talk about. It's like, okay, I'll talk about what I talked about in the stream. So I talked a bit about combat, said some of the things I think, and went, boom, here, I'll put this out. Combat, like sometimes I think people are going to be disappointed when I say, we'll talk about combat, and I don't know what people expect you to say when it comes to certain conversations. It's like, dude, combat in tabletop role playing games is a lot more simple than you think. Like, way more simple. Like, to go into the details, I don't know how interesting it's going to be unless somebody takes part in the conversation with me. Like, if you ask questions, okay, we can drive this home. If I'm talking about it myself, I can mention details to you. Uh, but I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like talking about soaking up hit points. Okay, armor soaks up hit points, sometimes abilities, but it depends on the game too. And then some people's views of games like blow me away. Like players will play this way. I'm like, dude, there is so much nuance you're not counting outside of the game itself. Like when I hear conversations about tabletop role playing games, there'll be guys saying the game makes players do this. Not if I'm running it. Oh, what do you mean? Well, depends on what I said beforehand. Like it's like people, I think, in the hobby, especially certain game designers, forget just how much a game master brings to the actual what you're doing. So they'll say a game does this. I'm like, yeah, not when I run it, not when I'm doing it. I'm like, but the game, no, dude, no, you're not counting the nuance and complexity I bring to the experience and what players are doing. And your way of trying to understand game design, you have forgotten the person that runs the game. You have a lot of game designers do this. They don't consider the people that run the game. Like this is what the game will make players do this. Yeah, well, it depends on who's running it. That's how much a game master can bring to an experience with a game. So when you simplify a game doing something down to a certain point, you're just like, you tell me right away, you're someone you're a little bit fake because you're trying to be a very wise, intelligent person, I guess, but your wisdom breaks down because you are not accounting for the person that runs the game. So every time I've heard, oh, games make players do this, well, there's a lot of games where I'll hear that, and then I look at my experience with it and the way I ran it. It's like, nope, players didn't play like that in that game when I did it. What about like a low chance of success on some things? That means players won't take the chances. Well, that's what you say. Yet I ran games where there's low chance of success and guys will still take the chances and throw themselves out there, which defeats your entire statement. Right. And the only way to know that is to be a game master like me, not just like I'm a game designer and a game master. So I know both sides of the fence really well. It's like, okay, you're going to talk about it, but do you understand what the game master brings and what they can do? Most people don't. Most people don't. That's the game designers found this out like in the old school. That's why you start realizing it's not that you have to handhold people through a game like say WotC games do, but there is some clear explanations you should be giving. Like I found D&D was really awful at that because I could mention stuff like I mentioned stuff recently that I know guys on here who have been in the hobby since the 70s didn't understand till I mentioned it. I'm like, you've been gaming since 76, yeah. Okay, so you run AD&D 1E. Yeah. You're a very old guy now, but your players still make up like 4 or 5 characters, right? Experienced players, right? Like he's like, yeah. And they'll go to a fair amount of combat from levels 1 to 3. Yeah. Well, first off, why are your players doing that? And do you think that's right? Do you think that's normal? He's like, yeah. And the players are doing that because it's, combat's risky. You could lose a character, but that's part of the game. I'm like, okay, well, let me walk you through the survival aspect of the game. Why do you think it's about survival? You think that has to do with combat? And I had to clarify for this guy. Guy is actually intelligent. He's not stupid, but he's been around since 76 running games. I'm like, I'm going to explain something about D&D to you that you clearly do not understand. And I said, look, I'm younger than you, but I'm going to teach you something. And he was on Discord with me thinking I was full of shit, and we're in DMs, and he's talking to me in private. And this was before I did it. It inspired me to mention it in the stream afterwards because I was shocked that I had to tell him. because I expected I understood some YouTubers didn't know this stuff, and I didn't want to even say it out loud for the YouTubers to feed off of, because they'll do that with my content. They'll, instead of like giving me any credit for saying something, they'll listen to my content, and then when I say something clearly they don't know, and you could tell they don't know because you can go in their past content and they've never said it, or they say things that are completely contradicting the thing. So clearly they don't believe this stuff or even know it. So when I say, instead of them saying, yeah, I heard this from Steven, or giving any credit towards me in any way, what they'll do is they'll take my wisdom, which they don't have, and then they'll mention it suddenly in their stream. Like they've known it the entire time, and it is their wisdom that they are sharing with you. Not yet, if you look back at their content, you'll know they did not know this. Actually, they have opinions that contradict that statement. But they've listened to my stream or me mention it, then they go, and it's quite consistent that this gets done to me. So I don't like it. I don't like that, because I think that's very deceitful and two-faced. And I've caught it for like 7 years, right? I know a lot of things about the games. I know other people don't. It's not an ego thing, just something I just know, right? So I'll see guys do this. I'm like, dude, here you are 2 streams before where you say something that clearly states out loud that you don't know this, and suddenly I said it this week. Here you are in your stream just down the line. Suddenly you perfectly know it, as if you've known it the entire time. Yet all your content says you have never understood this detail. So I had to clarify to this old guy in DMs on Discord that really his players should have already learned that they should be avoiding almost all combat from levels 1 to 3. And he was the guy who actually got rid of the gold for XP thing. I was like, because this is what triggers the conversation. I was like, well, that's a stupid move. And we dig into the conversation. Like he's and I said, this is why gold to XP is actually made for the game. It's actually a good thing. I'm like, you're meant to avoid most combat and actually get most of your experience through treasure. Get in, get so much, get out. Get in, get so much, get out. It is a get in and get out process, and then build your character up through the experience you get from the treasure, and then spend that for your training. Like a portion of it for your training, and then a portion of it for new equipment. That balances it out, so you don't get just filthy rich with a lot of money, stashed away. Your money's, it's going to cost you. You get that, you go training. Now by level 3, you can start playing a little bit better, right? Oh yeah, I'll definitely dig into that tonight, for sure. Thank you, AJ. I'll definitely read through it. I'll take a good look through it. It could take, I won't lie, I could take me a week, right? It just depends on the time, but I will actually take a good look through it and tell you what I think. Which I hope if anything it helps. Like, that's my aim, is not to build up my ego. My aim is always to be actually honestly genuinely helpful, right? Though even when you're helping people want to paint things a certain way. I always hope people don't, but I'm like, I don't know what people are going to do with that, right? But anyway, this old guy, he has like he finally just admits, okay, you're right. Like, he just says straight out that I'm right. I'm like, yeah, that's why you should have never dropped gold to XP in your game. Because this is what triggers the conversation between me and this old AD&D 1E DM. He starts in 76. He's been DMing for decades. It's 4 pages and rules, most of the rest. Oh, if it's something small like that, okay, maybe not a week. Maybe not a week, my dude. Maybe not a week, right? Okay. I thought you were talking like a full big read-through game, which I'm a monster reader. I'm a machine reader, so I can get through that, no problem. Cool. Is it? Well, I don't want to ask because you want me to look through it. Is it a lot of tables? Is it a bit of a roll master? It's not a complaint. I like roll master, so don't misunderstand. But is there like a lot of charts? Is it a chart game where you should definitely, if you're running it, you should have? I want to ask you more questions than this, because you do want my thoughts from reading it, not just from you answering questions. Well, 4-page, I'm not trying to insult. Like, I mean, small compared to what I thought. Like, I'm thinking here's going to be a book with like 200 pages or something, not more. I get what you're saying, though. Not tiny. No, I don't want to insult. Don't take anything the wrong way. totally get what you're saying. There's some meat on the bone there, but it's not huge. A character and adventure generator. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So is it for a specific game? Is it for your game or for D&D? Sorry if you might have mentioned this to me the other night and I just forgot. I'm just being real. Is it for a game, like a game specifically made for it? Or is it for like potentially other games? Like D&D? I'm assuming. Like I'm just asking. I want to ask more than that, but I am interested because that will give me an aim to know what I'm reading into. All right. But yeah, I mean, cool. Now, I personally do sandboxing, so old traveler style, really old D&D Beckme style. But I like sandboxing, but adventures are okay to generate. I mean, it just as long as it doesn't, I don't mind. It depends. That's what you. If it's creating a railroad, that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to get players on board with that. you got to have a talk with your players beforehand. Like, whatever adventure we're getting on, yeah, you're going to be on a track, but are you cool with that? Some actually are. I'm not a big fan of running the railroad. I prefer sandbox. Character generators are cool. No, they're good. Some game designers out there, I find, like I heard one conversation the other night. I don't want to pick on people. It was like, but Buddy was saying, say you're playing a ranger from D&D. Sorry about background noise, but he's like, say you're playing a ranger from D&D. A ranger is a certain experience. He's like, will the game master even get that right? And they had a very interesting conversation, but where a lot of game designers seem to, and I mentioned this already, but I'll go a little bit more into it because it's the way you mentioned it. Oh, think Heroes Unlimited Super Rules, like more super origins, mutations, and powers. Before I assure you, packed with concepts. Oh, fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. I know some guys, and thank you for sending it to me, because some guys, I know a guy who's going to want to read it right away. I got a guy in life. He's a GURPS fudge guy. And so that should make sense. If you don't mind, I'll let him, if it's okay with you, I'll let him take a look through it too. He's not an internet guy. I'm not going to pass your game around to all kinds of people. But a guy in life that I know just does not take part in what we do here. He's in-person gamer, right? Does nothing on the internet. But he likes to he does a lot of fudge and GURPS, and if you get what I'm saying, he likes to look at things just to get ideas. This is the reason he even looked at my game. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to run your game. I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. But he's like, I still want to look at it. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I know. But the guy was mentioning he was a game designer. A lot of game designers totally miss this point when they're talking about game design today, which doesn't blow my mind. It makes sense, right? Yeah, if you understand what I mean, what I'm getting at is these, those guys, they take ideas. So those guys will actually look at everything. Cool, because they'll, and thank you for that. They'll look at everything. They have no shame about anything, even games they don't like. They'll look at, because if you're doing GURPS or fudge, part of the way you put your stuff together is just taking ideas. Like they just have no shame about this. They will take ideas from anywhere. And that's why he likes me too, because I'm a guy who's adapted a lot of things to my game. But anyway, this guy was on a different stream, and he's talking about playing a ranger in a D&D game, like say AD&D second edition, for example, we'll say. He's like, a ranger is a certain experience you could have with a ranger, a certain experience you can have, but it will be up to the game master if the player even has that experience. Is pretty much what he's saying. And he's also adding into his talk is games make players play a certain way. This is the way he's saying it. Like, this game might make a player play this way, or this game might make a player play this way, or it's like higher chance, that means they'll roll the dice more for skills. Lower chance means they won't roll the dice that much for skills. I'm like, dude, if it was that simple, I could almost agree with you. Right? I sort of get where that's sort of a sensible way of looking at it. But I'm like, you can just tell the guy completely ignores, like he understands the effects a game master could have on applying the game as it is. But he seems to not even acknowledge, which a lot of game designers don't, is the effects overall a game master has on the game that breaks everything you assume. Right? So it's like, well, players won't play this way. Yeah, well, if I talk to the players, I run the game for them, they will. What are you going to like host? Nope. Just you are simply not counting what I bring to the game as a game master. You are not counting how a game master affects the view of players, what they're going to do, and their experience. You have simplified it down, and every game is affected by the person who runs it. To assume like it's like old school. Old school is all about game master performance and talent. They'll give you generic games, and you'll be like, well, that's a generic game. I'm like, no, it's not. They'll be like, well, somebody will say, what do you mean? I just read it, Steven. I said, look, if you let the book run the game, and you are someone who's very simple, you have no creativity, you bring nothing to the hobby, and you try to run that, and you brought no talent at all, the book runs the game. You're right. But to the game master that takes the chair, that's creative, thoughtful, and bringing a lot to what they do with talent, that game that seems generic to you suddenly comes to life. Like, and the game designer knows it. He's not unaware. He's not made a generic game. He actually is making, say, old school guys. Remember, a lot of old school guys didn't know what the majority was going to be like, and they made it for us hobbyists. So they assume your most talented people will step up. He will like it. He could run GURPS, the Tick, or Mr. Oh, that sounds awesome. The Boys, street level Zanny Vibe is designed for online chat games, bear pretzels, and no prep required. It takes a few minutes to make a character, villain, and adventure. Well, that's fun, dude. That's fun. I like all kinds of different approaches. I like that. I love ones so you can have. I like Tune. Tune's another one where I do the sit back, lay back pretzel stuff. But yeah, totally. I get that. Sounds pretty awesome. I love I like superheroes as long as I'm not a comic book guy, so and I think where you like Heroes Unlimited, it just tells me instinctively you're a gamer too. Means you can be a fan of heroes. I'm not the big fan of heroes like comic book guys are, but I'm like, you could even be that fan. But if you like Heroes Unlimited, it tells me one thing: you're a gamer. So it's like you might like your comic book, but when you get here, you're still a gamer, and you don't expect the hero thing to be the comic book. Like you're coming here to play a Heroes game, you like Heroes, but you're a gamer. Heroes Unlimited, for all the guys out there that like comic books, they'll criticize Heroes Unlimited quite often. But I'm like, yeah, it's because you put the comic book experience ahead of the gamer experience. That's my opinion. That's an opinion. I think if you're a gamer, and because it's a gamer thing, that's why I think it leans more into what you're talking about. The Tick, the Boys, Mr. Like not all the superhero stuff, even though there is characters that you'll find. But it's like we were talking about the Hero Academia stuff, right? The more grounded hero stuff that definitely plays better to a game. Oh yeah, yeah. I totally hear that. Anyway, this they were having a deep conversation on the stream I heard, and they were going on about a game does this, a game does this. I'm like, and I could hear them judging all these old school games this way. And I'm like, well, first off, guys, what it tells me is you don't understand old school games. Because almost every old school game designer knows right away there's an effect the game master has on the game, and they don't always spell it out in language. Like you get a generic game where it seems generic to you, but that's more to the modern mindset. Like It's more to the book runs the game for you. Now, AJ, you might have been here and heard this before, but the mindset that the book runs the game for you was not old school. Old school always expects that a game master brings a certain element to the game that they understand they will. And you can see it in Pendragon, you can see it in Traveler, you can see it just about in every game. Every game is under the designer understands the game master is going to bring something unique to the game. And what they're just hoping is no matter what kind of game master you get, you're getting a talented person or the most talented person in your group is the guy stepping up to run the game. And the designers at the time in the old school, a lot of them do not know about the new majority that's going to come into the hobby later. They are making games for not war gamers, even though there is some attempt to get war gamers over. They're making the game for people that think like that. Deep thinking hobbyists. That's what they think they're making the game for. So if they make something generic, it's not they think the game is meant to be generic or just meant to get a generic experience. It's meant to give the person with real extreme talent just the tools they need to make that sing. Right. And yes, if a guy with no talent at all somehow, because they don't even know, they're not even making a game for that person. If that guy shows up to the table and tries to run their game, as players, you'll be like, that's generic. Yeah, but I'll be like, the game designer didn't know he exists in the hobby and didn't make the game for him. You don't see the first time you see the book run the game in a way where the actual group makes the game like that. It's when I went on about before. Streamer this morning, I was talking about the early days of streaming games. We were doing it to promote the hobby, not ourselves, performers, but we prepared that way. Oh, really quick, I'll say this on those games, and it's okay. So it's one thing to promote the hobby. My only issue with actual plays is this: it's like Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer promoted the hobby, and don't take this the wrong way, AJ. So this is just a general view of actual plays. It hurts to promote the hobby if you promote an experience players won't have at their private table. And then because what happens, you get they call it the Matt Mercer effect. I'm like, it's not the Matt Mercer effect. It's the actual play effect. I'm like, look, most guys say on camera are performing for the people listening in, right? And if you talk to people just like without them knowing exactly what they're going to be answering, they'll start answering yes. You're performing, you're making sure you're talking quite actively in character when it's your turn, right away, so people listening have something to listen to. Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so at a private table, when people are in their imagination, do they speak for... I was on a panel stream, I was talking about early days of streaming games where we were doing it to promote hobby, not ourselves as performers, but I totally get. I have read it. I have read it just to make sure I didn't get that wrong. I've read it again. That's where I said I get you. You're prepared that way. You're performers. I totally get. You're acknowledging it. You're acknowledging it. My only issue with people seeing the game promoted that way is I would at least prep them up. Which, oh yeah, I get it. It's to entertain people. It is to entertain people. But a lot of people then go back to the tables and they'll actually try to play the way they see actual players play at the table. I'm like, AJ, you would agree with this, and I know you get it. You're separating, so you get what I'm saying. Like at an actual play where you're entertaining people, you want to make sure you're speaking. But at your private game, and I know you'll understand this. If you're game mastering and your players are deep into their imagination, they're only going to speak when they have to, right? But not to misunderstand, you as a game master will understand they're having a great time. Like you're explaining it, but we were just gaming. Well, if that's what you're expressing, like, fair enough. But it's like Mercer. I don't like the way Mercer did it, and it's nothing against Mercer. People think I don't like. It's like, no, I don't mind Mercer at all. I have no issue with his success, and maybe that you're just showing people that way. Fair enough. Maybe that's the other way around. You're prepared. But I tell people an actual session should look pretty bad live. They're like, why? I'm like, here's why I would assume it's not going to go well for entertaining people. That's why I personally don't like watching real sessions. Like, I'll watch if I'm helping a game master to understand what they're going through, right? But I would never watch it for entertainment because I'm like, I know players are not going to, and they shouldn't be. If they're in their imagination, they should not be speaking out loud consistently in a way that keeps me focused, right? As an onlooker, as a game master partaking with them, that's different, right? But they should be in their imagination, and they only speak when they have to. They don't speak with the concern that I'm watching, right? That's my only issue with actual plays, but that's good. That's if you're promoting it that way, fair enough. But I always say to people, like I sometimes think the audience is too ignorant to know what they're saying. It's not on you. I'm saying sometimes it's the audience. They don't like. I'm like, I'll watch a session of it where guys are doing it normally. I'll realize just because out of experience, not that I'm entertained by it, but I'll be like, oh, those guys are having a good time. That game master's doing a great job. But if I look at it from an entertained point of view, man, this is fucking boring. Like as an onlooker, I'm ready to fall asleep watching. And I should be, because it shouldn't be entertaining me. It shouldn't even be any attempt to entertain me. It should be that they're in their imagination and only speaking when it's appropriate, when it's good for them, when it's part of outside of they're seeing things, they're taking things in, they're thinking, they're taking their time, they speak at a certain point. That's boring for me. It's not going to be a pace talk. So, as an onlooker, that's really boring, but I'll realize from personal experience, that's a good session. That game master's fucking doing a good job. To most of the audience, that's boring and a shit game. And I'm like, I realize right away, most of the people watching don't know what they're saying. I'm like, what you guys don't know is you're seeing a good session. It's boring. It's not meant for you to be watching, dude. Remember, the session is about the participants, not the onlooker. Like, you got to realize if the participants are having fun, like if they're into it, yeah. Rubbing sticks together these days, production value is amazing. The graphics overlay, multiple cameras, maps on. But most of that stuff is performing. Like a lot of that is performing. Like I'm like, I'll see players go to their private tables and they're trying to play like that at the table. I'm like, I'll be like, guys, there's nobody watching. Have you stopped to think about what's in your mind? Like I've taken players from what I call the performing 5e games. So I took players over to a different game, which recently was World of Darkness. And there was a 5e player who does the whole talk like he's seen people talk. I said, no, don't stop. Listen to me. Take this in. Use your imagination. Think about this stuff. Pay attention to how the other people play. I got him to calm down, and he starts taking everything in, man. After 3 sessions, he's like, this is the best gaming I've ever done in my entire life, and I've been playing for 20 years. I was like, you're welcome, dude. And he had this whole confession to me. He's like, you're right. I was using it in minimal ways and just talking like people talk on camera. Because that's what he knew. And the second I got him to stop and just like, dude, you don't got to rush every word. I do want you to participate. I want you to get into the flow. But for the flow means you got to not just think about what you're going to say next. You really got to take in what's going on. Part of getting into the flow is not just how you perform it, but how you take it in. And it will actually, I said it'll actually improve your performance for yourself and for the people playing the game. I said, don't worry about what somebody watching would think. And I said to him after the 4th session, I said, see what I mean? I said, you just had a great session, right? Because he was telling me this. I was like, I said, how do you think that would come across to people watching us? He's like, geez, yeah, that's really bad. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you talked half the time you would normally talk in the 5e game, but you are fucking deep in. He's like, yeah, I had a wonderful fucking time. I said, but to the onlooker, they might think you're bored. He's like, yeah, I was quiet thinking about stuff. And he starts having the realization just what the difference between the actual play and at the table. Exactly. I feel bad. I hear that bro OSR group, and I didn't want to snuff them out for a long time. Like I was very like people think I hate that group of people. They were on X. I know you know who I'm talking about. The bro OSR. I know you know. I know you know. These are the fucking wargamer guys that go on wargamer, AD&D one wargaming. I was like, okay, dude. It's like I let them go on for like 2 years, and they finally pushed my buttons enough that I said, okay, all right, fine. Let's do this. I'm gonna do a deep dive on AD&D 1E. Oh, very much so. 100% agree. I can tell you know what you're talking about. It's I'm not. I hope you never take it as I talk to. I'm just talking to someone who I think knows their shit. Some people in this hobby take you talking to them with your wisdom as if you're talking down to them. I'm like, no, dude, I'm talking to someone I think knows his shit. So if I talk to you, I talk to you in a way that I think you're going to understand it. And the reason that's respect. That's not a top down. That's someone just talking to someone on the same level. That's a respect type of way of approaching someone. A lot of people take people the wrong way on here. So I just some people take you in well, some people don't, right? The Bro OSR guys, I let them go on for 2 years calling AD&D 1E wargaming. I was like, that's what really triggered some of this pushback, like the storytelling and all this I've been doing recently. But it's just because I don't want to just pinpoint them on the wargaming. I wanted to get at everything because I think it is like you get it and I get it. It is its own unique thing. So I don't like pigeonholing it into these other things because I think it has all these elements. And I think you get anybody who has real experience with this will just get what I'm saying. Like, yeah, actually, he's right. It is all these things, elements from these things that come together to make something different, something unique, right? Not the same as these other things. And they were calling it wargaming, AD&D 1E wargaming. They did it for like 2 years. They would announce it all the time. It's wargaming. I was like, well, dude, in fact, it's not a difference in opinion. In fact, it's not. And I'm going to do a deep dive on AD&D 1E, and I'm going to take a whole group of guys, a few hundred guys that have been powerfully saying this, and I'm going to put this out. Well, I'm one guy, AJ. I basically made a bunch of guys that were announcing it was wargaming all the time stop. I did a deep dive that shows exactly what I said was the case. And they all stopped, man. 2 years of it is wargaming to, oh man. And actually, weeks after, they're actually admitting, all of them are saying, yeah, I wish TSR and Gary didn't get away from wargaming. And it's even gotten to the point where they've changed language now. Now they're like, we're taking AD&D 1E back to wargaming. Well, they spent 2 years saying it was. Now, for the last couple of months, they've been saying they're taking it back to it. So it went from it was to they gave it up to they're taking it back. Oh, Robert Kuntz does stuff too. Yeah. They were mouthing off at him. A lot of different guys from different sections of the hobby were. They have no respect for our people. I was like, you just have no respect for our people. I haven't agreed with Robert Kuntz, but I've respected him. Right? I've strongly made a statement if I disagree with him, but I don't turn it into like, go fuck yourself. There's been a few issues where I've made a long statement, like I don't agree with that, but it's measured. It's not calling him nothing. It's not doing nerd rage on him. The guys attacked him, which I was like, dude, look, we have some petty arguments. I get it, and we all feel like you guys will misbehave yourselves all the time, even as grown men, which is childish, but you do it. I say, could we at least not look at the few members of fucking TSR that are left around, are fucking legendary people? Could you not be petty pieces of trash and mouth off of these guys? I know you're all fucking petty, immature, 9-year-old little boys in grown ass bodies, but could you not talk to him that way? Oh yeah. But they didn't. They didn't. So I went to fact-based and said, here it is. And imagine one guy, me, taking hundreds of guys and forcing them to change your language. Right? Then nothing against them either on this. They were going to bring a book out and made all these claims that they figured out a secret about TSR and one-to-one timing and shared worlds. That they knew the secret and they were bringing out a book on secrets. Well, they're talking like they know, and that what they're pushing is really what TSR was really pushing. And they had been doing this for like a year and a half, and I was okay. Let me cover this because it was covered very carelessly, and a few really bad arguments, bad faith arguments between a certain bullshit YouTuber who doesn't like me either, and them. And that YouTuber wasn't fair to them, but they're also full of shit. And I said, look, I'm going to come over the top of both of you. Let me compare what the OSR actually pushes. Now I did this in a way that, the Bro OSR, I did this in a way that the Bro OSR actually didn't deny what I said was like, I represent them perfectly on purpose. I didn't want them to be upset. And I didn't want them to deny it. I needed to represent them in a way that was accurate to what they said. Right. And I hear you, but I said, I said, there's nothing wrong. Here's what I said in each case. There's nothing wrong with how you want to view the game. But let me just be accurate with you. I'm going to represent what the Bro OSR actually thinks of one-to-one timing and shared worlds. Like, I'm going to actually represent you accurately. I'm going to be fair to you when other YouTubers haven't been. When people that disagree with you have not been fair to you, I'm going to be fair to you. And I thought that was the right thing. You're like, no, I don't want to play deceit. I was fair with them. I mentioned their stuff in a way that they ended up not disagreeing, that I had represented their position correctly. Okay. So I represent them 100% what they're pushing. Then I accurately represent what TSR and Gary Gygax was actually pushing. And both are completely not the same. And I did that video, and they went from, we got the secret to, okay, everything is different. So again, we go from language where there's a few hundred of them going, we know the secret to, okay, well, we're doing it in the way that they should have done it. And I'm like, there's a confession right there. It goes from we know the secret to we're doing it in the way that they should have done it. Not like we figured it out. No, it's like now they're admitting in their language without directly admitting, okay, it's not the same. Now, like I did those two, the deep dive and then that video. And I let them go on for a few years. And I seen people politely, like Robert Kuntz, politely trying to tell them they were wrong. But they fucking go over the top. I'd say it to be nice. Like, you guys are wrong. You should really look into this. And I'd say this all the time. I remember when they first represented the whole shared world one-to-one timing thing. I was like, yeah, we're bringing something back from the past. I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit of a problem with that. Like what? I'm like, what about all the groups that are still doing it right now? What about the early 2000s when I got online and Thirdfire had about 300 to 400 DMs when they were doing it in the early 2000s? What about them? What about all the guys that did it in the 90s? What about the guys that are doing it currently as you're claiming to bring it back from the past as if nobody's doing it? The Burrows there was just very careless in their presentation. They were like, we're bringing something back. Like, dude, you can't bring something back that never went away. Everyone's been doing the one-to-one time shared world things forever. There's multiple groups that they're doing it now. They did it with almost 400 DMs with Thirdfire when I started in the early 2000s. Online. On the internet anyway, right? There you go. But my video, this was the powerful point was, and a lot of people are actually crediting my videos. Like, actually, people that usually don't like me on here, AJ, and there's quite a few of those. They actually said, yeah, it was Steven's videos or Condor's videos that got them to change the entire thing. So now I actually have them admit it's not wargaming. But I'm like, dude, I only want an honest conversation. I'm not trying to attack you. That's why I never went on about it for like 2 years. I just want an honest conversation. That's all I push for, AJ. But sometimes here, you have to be a bit brutal to get people to listen to you. Like for you to get away from agendas and deceit, you have to be fucking brutal with some people on here. You have to. You got to piss them off. If not, if you soft pedal your words, you'll be stomped on, and the conversation will not progress for the next 30 years. There's topics like I remember debating. I'd see guys try to debate every year. Well, they're debating the miniature stuff. They're debating this year. It gets shut down, and people say anyone on a certain side would get banned from certain forums. This was before YouTube. They would debate it. Everyone would complain about it, shut it down, censor it. Next year, they would debate it, shut it down, debate it, shut it down. I'm like, after 20 years of this, you'd hear people go, man, why are people still arguing about this? I said, because none of you let the debate play itself out. I said, the people that push back and censor the debate and shut it down have had success for decades. I said, but what does that mean? I said, that means that the issues that people have with it aren't solved. So people are going to debate and argue because they have issues with something. Doesn't matter why they have them, they just do. If you shut the debate down, the issues don't go away. If the next year they go to argue again, it's because the issues still exist. That's why the argument's coming back up. But you don't let the argument play out, issues remain. Guess what? They'll be here next year. And they'll be here next year. And 20 years later, they'll be here next year. And now at the speed of the internet, the rapid speed of the internet, it can be 7 months. You shut it down. And then in like less than a year, it's coming back up. And you're like, it's not even a year this time. It's because for decades, you guys have controlled the dialogue, certain people in the hobby that have influence and push back and shut down the conversations. You've controlled the dialogue so much that for decades, and it's unbelievable that you have, but you just have, you have not allowed the debate to play itself out. And the debate at first is going to be dirty and messy because people need to learn how to debate properly. Like the reason we're so sensitive and a lot of people live in echo chambers or bubbles here is because they're living in safety. They're protected from the heat. And I'm like, you can't be. It's in other hobbies and other places, they allow the conversations and debates so it actually progresses in a good way what they're doing. Like things improve when you allow the conversations or the disagreements to happen. And yes, of course, when people are learning debate, it's messy at first. You got to allow the mess to sort itself out. At one point, that cleans up, right? People get better at having honest conversations, but you got to allow the mess. You got to allow standards to come up where dishonest people are pushed out of the conversation appropriately because they're not taken serious, not because people are controlling. And sooner or later, it will fix itself. But if you always shut down the debate every single year for decades, that means we still have the issues decades later. The conversation around this thing has never progressed. It's like the miniature and pure theater of the mind gimmick with combat and that. 7 years ago, when I put up my 3-minute video, I pissed everyone off. I got attacked, I got destroyed, all this, my reputation, character assassination, lies about me being evil and everything, all over just that thing. Very simple gaming opinion that I had that people didn't like. Because I was willing to piss people off, 7 years later, people can now talk about that. They started having debates. So after they started attacking me within 6 months, they finally, for the first time I'd ever seen before, they agreed to start having debates on panels about these two things. Now, at first it was messy. Then it got better. It got better. And over the 7 years, now you can openly discuss that you like pure theater of the mind or somebody likes miniatures and nobody's going to war. But understood, before I made that video, for decades, that had not happened. And I had to be crucified. My reputation, part of the reason why a lot of people hate me here is because of that thing 7 years ago. Like it made people hate me that never backtrack. They've made lies about me. So if you've heard really bad things about me, I guarantee the thing is not true, but the reason why I was told was a very childish reason. Somebody doesn't like my take on gaming. And they controlled the dialogue too. So it was like everybody would be on one side of the argument. You couldn't speak up. If you said something about pure theater of the mind, you'd be crucified. So I was, as I said recently, I was a raindrop in an ocean of bullshit. But I was willing to take heat that other people before me never took. And because I was willing to take the heat, it wasn't like I was some Superman. I just realized nobody bothered to do this. Every time they just let the thing go away. I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'll get crucified. I'm going to get fucking hung out for this. At first, I was hoping it wouldn't happen because in person, you can have some of these discussions. It's not the same. But I knew from my experience on the internet, I sort of knew something bad was going to happen. And it did. But because of that video, and now back then, they could make threats to you. They could do all that and get away with it. And people actually allowed that behavior to go on, that you could threaten somebody because they like pure theater of the mind more than miniatures. Like that behavior was actually accepted, the extreme behavior. Now, if you threaten somebody over that topic, you'd be called out right away. But understand, 7 years ago, that was accepted. It took 7 years of debating it and talking about it that finally people felt comfortable to speak up, get into it because the conversation started and they allowed the debate go on. And now we can talk about it normally. People can go on a panel and just say, I like pure theater live, I like miniatures, and everything is peaceful. 7 years ago, if you were the guy saying you like pure theater of the mind, you would have been chased out of Dodge. You would have been ran off of YouTube. You would have went through character assassination, reputation destruction. Your YouTube channel would have been tried to destroy. They would have tried all kinds of things to you. They would have attacked you nonstop. And because I went through the heat, now people don't need to go through it. But that's how it's called iron fisted control. And I think what happened was before we get YouTube, we got on and we had Dragon Split. If you go back to the forums, what you don't realize is a lot of guys had control over the dialogue in our debates. And so if you were on one side of the debate that a certain group didn't like, you were banned off all the forums. And that meant they had complete iron fist control over all the dialogue. And that means if the mods had one opinion and you were on the opposing side, you get banned. Your statements would be taken down and your ideas or your difference in opinion would not be represented. And they had complete control. Now, when YouTube came along, they lost it for a bit. They started doing AJ. This was the sneaky shit. I remember getting into a Facebook group where they invited this YouTuber on. He was a nerd, but he had finally been saying things that they had banned from Dragon Split, but just game stuff. But he's finally saying it on YouTube. And the first time I seen them do this to a guy, there was a bunch of guys, probably even a few people you know was in this group. They invited this guy on, and for about a week or 2 weeks, they were really nice to him. And then at one point, they all turn on him on the group. They blow up at him. They attack him. They destroy him. He was thought they were his friends. They all fucking ban him from the group. He can't take part of the conversation, and drove his reputation into the dirt. It was pure character assassination. They took things out of context on him, completely lied, destroyed this guy publicly. He took off YouTube right away. I was like, and here's how I know they did this on purpose. I'm in the group and they asked me to take part in it. Now I did not take part in it, but understand they were inviting me to private parts of the group to be in things where I could go in and see if I wanted to, and I could be part of destroying this guy. That's like Shauner. I don't know if you've ever heard of a YouTuber passed away. Rest in peace, Shauner. He'd say what he wanted to. He'd just say what he thinks of people. He fucking criticize people all the time, but it's part of your freedom of speech, freedom of expression. He would do that, and people didn't like what he had to say. So one day, one guy comes on Discord and says to me, "Hey man, would you?" Because he doesn't know me that well. He's a new guy within the circle, but he thought that I might not like Shauner too. So he's like, "Do you want to join us in reporting Shauner?" He asked me in private, comes right to me in private, like adds me up and says, "Do you want to join us? We're all going to report Shauner and get him kicked off YouTube." Oh, I said, "Fuck no!" Nope. Believe in his freedom of speech. And I did a video right away. I called it out. I told Shauner straight up. I went straight to Shauner because they didn't know that I talked to Shauner, no matter how much heat we had between each other. I'd still talk to him. So I went right to Shauner and said, "Yeah, there's a bunch of guys here that you know that are trying to get you reported and gone." And people didn't believe me at first till I showed the conversation. Then they were all like, "Wow." I'm like, "Yeah, it happened." Like I was asked to take part in censoring Shauner. And I wouldn't do it. And I said, "No way." I said, even if I don't like people, Sean has said all kinds of dirty shit about me. I've never ever, he could say whatever he wants. He could lie about me, attack me. I don't care. So that's a dirty game, AJ. And they've done character assassination on me for so long that there's a certain echo chamber, a certain part of the hobby where I can't. The audience here is that's it. I can't grow with the middle. There's not much I can do. So my reputation is completely destroyed, but not based on truth, based on things that aren't true at all. And I just gave up trying to push back on that. It's like they'll always do this. I know this. So the most I do is now just aim at people like yourself, reasonable people. But it is a bit of a dirty history there with those guys, right? And they all act like they don't do this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I know you do. I know. I know you do. It's just something where I think people need to be less sensitive to people saying things they don't agree with. That's it. Like right now, you're cool with me on the story stuff. Do you know how many guys are mad at me right now over what I said about the storytelling stuff? So many. Like I've made some enemies just by bringing. And you think like you listen to what I said. I'm not saying anything that's attacking people. I'm saying what sounds reasonable to you, right? But there's people with agendas out there, and successful agendas, AJ, successful ones at pushing no character death, bad gameplay for the sake of pushing story ahead, and avoiding challenges through the rule of cool. Sounds simple, right? That they do that, and it's but they've actually successfully pushed that without pushback, and even to the point where you should be calling them out. The thing they always justify with is even if you say we're wrong, if you say story is good, well then that justifies what we push, and that actually works for them. So if you say we're storytelling, even if you don't like that I'm avoiding character death, we're still able to use the storytelling pitch to say that avoiding it is okay. So that's just a difference in opinion, but that means that softens up your argument against us, and that means we get to really push that rot into the hobby. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with what people do at the table, but and I don't want to control what anybody does at the table, but I think we should have standards and open and honest dialogue. And I said, well, the truth is we're not storytelling. That does take the justification away from that argument. And so you can still choose to not have character death in your thing, but you can't come to the public conversation and deceive people by pretending you have a justification behind it that you don't. Let's set a new standard. So at least new people coming into the hobby hear this. And a lot of us will say character death is credible for the game. And it actually is. It is part of just failure. It's part of the challenge. The challenge not being avoided. Like to me, it's petty to avoid character death. It's not the other way around. It's petty to avoid the basic challenges in games through rule of cool. The rule of cool thing to avoid it is petty. So to me, it's the other way around. Or bad gameplay, pretty consistently argued for being okay because bad gameplay is justified to move the story ahead. And so many guys feel like they're justified in it. I'm like, well, what you do at your table is your business. I don't want to control that. But at the same time, dude, I'm going to have to make it that no, socially, honestly, you don't have a justification for these things. Not in the open square of ideas. Not when you come over here to debate what you're saying. I'm going to take that from you. And there's a lot of guys that are going to be mad at me because they've spent years, probably like the last 2 decades, establishing that agenda as credible. So for me to come along and just hack at it, right? Destroying it. It's like the Bro OSR thing. AD&D 1E is a war game. Then they got to give it up. It makes me a lot of enemies because I'll be honest and call things out. And so a lot of YouTubers here don't do that stuff. That's why I make a lot of enemies, because people that have pushed agendas where I come by and just go, yeah, your agenda's bullshit. And they're just like, fuck, because it establishes bad practice in the hobby. And I know that. That's like the Bro OSR calling AD&D 1E wargaming. Well, it's not. That's just a lie. It's not part of the honest dialogue. And for us to have a standard or get our head or have progressive conversations that are the idea is to progress the hobby and what we do along, you just got to be honest. I think honest dialogue is important. So people think I care about the AD&D 1E wargaming thing. I'm like, no, I don't care about that in reality and the way you think. I just care that there's so much deceit in all of the conversations and so much deceit accepted that sooner or later somebody has to be willing to come in and say, no, here's what's true. So I'm like, if I have to be that guy, I'll be that guy. And so you got to take a hit sometimes. That's part of why I grow on YouTube very slowly sometimes, because I come and take the hit. I paint myself this properly. I'm often a raindrop of truth in an ocean of bullshit. So it's like, that's why guys don't like me, because they establish bullshit. And I'm just like, nope, bang, let me take that away. That's just part of the gimmick. I think it's healthy, though. I think it's good for the hobby to talk honestly about things, right? So I think, and I care about the hobby. I care about the future, and I'm a public game master. The conversations and the effects on players really affects me. When I go to recruit, I have to recruit from the players whose minds have been altered by the bullshit. So I'm like, yeah, maybe you and your at-home group aren't affected by that, but I am. So since I'm personally affected by the conversations and the lies, I feel like I have a stake in correcting some of it, because it helps me. It really does. It's good when you can make a point. So people paint everything you're doing as like it's drama. No, it's just criticism and telling the truth. You're telling people what to do. No, I'm not going to Tom's table and telling him to do anything. Tom can turn my video off. Tom can stop watching my stream. Tom can do whatever the fuck he wants. Tom doesn't have to listen to a word I say. So I can't force myself at your table. And I'm not going to come to your table. I come to YouTube, a place where you can block me, ignore me, and get away from me. And just say out loud what I think. And it's not attacking people. It's not telling people what to do. It's not starting drama. Though I get drama coming my way. I know that from talking about things. Really important. Hey, I say this, at least I'm honest. I'm not like some of the other guys. I've seen some guys on here. They'll be like, oh, Steven, you have a big ego. I'm like, no, man, I'm talking the truth. No, I've seen some guys on here with egos that talk like they're better than everybody. I'm like, well, if the ego is your problem, why are you watching that guy over there? He clearly thinks he's better than you. All right. That's enough of that. So that first 40 minutes was correcting the video from last night. Then we talk some game stuff. Then we go into the honest dialogue stuff. That's good. Then we call a bit of the negative history of the hobby. It's always good. New school, they live in a whole different world when it comes to YouTube and stuff. I find that weird, because they won't even acknowledge the old school exists. They'll be like, the history of gaming, the history of YouTube, and they'll go all the way. I'm like, no, dude, it didn't start this many years ago. The old school has been doing tabletop role playing game YouTube stuff since since it started. What are you talking about? I don't mind some of the new school guys. Some of them are okay. Some of them are seemingly nice, but I don't know. Their takes on games are weird. Like Bob the Builder. I personally like Matt Colville. I don't agree with him probably politically or anything outside whatever he thinks inside the game. Me and him wouldn't get along. He probably wouldn't like me, but I like some of his stuff. I say Matt Colville is sort of like a new school guy with a bit of old school mindset in him. So I like some of the new guys. Not too bad. Let's see. I'm checking my email just to see. Oh, yes. I don't know if you're still around, AJ. Are you selling this on also on like a Super Atomic RPG. Super Atomic RPG. Oh, the art. Cool. Save. Download it. I'll definitely get to that later, my friend. I would ask you like a personal question, like if it's like try through RPG. I don't. I just don't want to out you because I don't have a personal take on some of this stuff. Like it's the art looks cool from just looking at it from the for the moment, right? The art look is cool. Just the cover, at least. Checking something, guys. Sorry, you can say whatever you want about the art. If it's a if you don't want to, I totally understand. Okay, okay. I don't want to half-ass read your thing while I'm doing a stream. That would be unfair to you. Well, what I mean is like it's I don't want to ask if it's like AI or something, and then it's like I don't know what you're if you've talked about it publicly or something like that. That's what I mean. Like it looks cool, but so many people have opinions on art. Like if it's something you got done, cool, cool. I'm just saying the art looks nice, right? But you don't. What I mean is you don't going to respond. You don't going to say, well, it's AI. If it's real art, that's cool. That's you can let me know. Uh, if you want to do that, talk about it privately is what I meant, right? But if that's what you mean, uh, no AI. Good, good, good. It's not even good, good, good. I personally don't give a fuck. It's cool that you got it done real. Don't get it wrong. I just don't have the issue other people have with that shit. I don't care. Like just on personal opinion, like if you said, Steven, would you get a game with AI art? Well, oh, cool. No, that's all boom. But I personally don't have a. People get deep into these topics on the AI stuff, and I'm just like, I mean, I got nothing against people's principles. I can totally understand them. I really do. I get them. I don't take a dog in the fight because I just don't like personally. I don't care. Like if you ever ask me would I buy a game with AI art, sure. I don't care. I don't care. I don't. The game at the end of the day is still the meaningful thing to me. Create a good product, I'll fucking buy it. And I checked the market before I went into it just to see what they say about AI. I know I backed out for the sake of people asking me to back, push away some AI stuff. But it was like, can you realize like 80% of people plus buy AI stuff openly, knowingly, and they don't care. So you realize right away the complainers are of the people that have an issue with it are a minority of loud voices, a small minority, but they're very loud. Oh, yeah, yeah. But then you got to realize 80. I totally hear you. It does bring something back. I like the idea of rough art, but I have noticed when the people complain out there, I just say to them like, dude, you can say what you want, but I mean, 80 plus percent of people are still buying this shit. So that's what the market shows anyway. The vast, not just 51%, but like 80 some percent don't give a fuck. Like they don't like they so don't give a fuck about it that like I'm like, okay. That's geez. There's the truth right there, my friend. Though I think it does help. You'll still get the 80% will still buy games with real art, and of course, there's a good chance they're even more enticed to buy. So I get the benefits to putting in your own art. And I get compared to the AI, it is going to spruce up your sales. But yeah, the silent you've heard, yeah. Well, you probably just saying it yourself, but the silent majority is always very important to take notice of. Uh, what I just noticed was the reason I even used a little AI when I first started, because I was doing I was doing it like it was a Steam game. I said, look, if I sell enough that I can improve and bring some real art, I'll do that. But here's what I realized: text games with no art completely fail 100% of the time. And even a second edition is a passion project with no success. It's passion. It's not success. It's passion. So I just noticed that like it completely fails. I was like, so dude, I don't want to do myself. And did I sell a ton? But no, but I probably sold a few more than I should have uh, doing it. Oh, I hear that. Oh, you should. Should. But to me, here's one thing I learned from the past from game designers: the game is the money. That's the hardest part to make. Like, and especially like I made a game from scratch for 15 years, not a clone, and not just repeating a million other ideas. So, let alone usually one person never does that. Usually, it's always multiple people. Uh, that is the hardest part of the entire process. Is always the game, the setting, how things work together, like the whole game. That is the most extreme hard part. And I get like a small game I get, but it's like no cloning, no nothing. I made a big game, a massive game, where it's all in one package. It's setting with monsters, say for example, with the entire game. But you would say the game master part, the players part, like a big game. And it took me 15 years of game testing to start off with something and go from nothing. And if I actually count my second edition years, where I tested a lot of the ideas, uh, probably more like 25 years to 30 years of game testing, and made my own game from scratch, right, by myself. And it took a lot of years, a lot of game testing to get that done. When I realized that just putting it out in text would mean it wouldn't sell, of course, I don't want to take 30 years of hard work and fail with it, right? You get my point. And the money for covers and that, I had no money. I had gotten out of a 14-year relationship. There's so many lies about the relationship. No, my ex never went and cheated with a brother I don't have. I don't have siblings. I'm an only child. So I don't have no brothers or sisters. Well, uh, my ex, I broke it off with her. I left her. But when I left her, I also left where I was, basically my life. Like I had to start from bottom. Like I had no money. I start from bottom. And because of certain things with me and her, I won't totally put the blame on her. I'll take my responsibility, but I was in debt. So I'm zero money and paying my way out of debt, right? The core objective: real accessibility, no performative wokeness. Now the game is currently being played in a school, prison, and oh, I hear that. I didn't care about that type of stuff. I just wanted to make a game that I didn't care if it peaks later or peaks right away. Just wanted to make us. I just wanted to have a serious chance with it. That was my whole aim. And so I had no help. I had to learn to do PDF from scratch. Like I didn't know the lingo, the language. I had to learn from scratch, dude, from scratch. Uh, but I knew I was going to mess up a whole lot. So I put my thing out as I pictured as like I looked at the Steam game thing, and I had purchased a few Steam games where when you first get them, and they're called early access gimmick. I said, okay, I like that. I looked at Kickstarter. So if you don't have big YouTubers to promote you or nobody to put you out there, or you have no friends like on here to to share anything you have, you will fail 100% of the time on Kickstarter. So Kickstarter, dead in the water, guaranteed failure. No imagery in the game, guaranteed failure. 100% of the time, no chance. So once you know those two things and they're not options, you have to not pretend that they are. You can't live in delusion. You can't lie to yourself. You can't say what feels good. You got to be real. If the evidence shows you this, you got to believe the evidence. You got to put feelings aside. Facts over feelings. That's the way I went at it. Facts over feelings. Kickstarter fails me 100% of the time. No imagery fails me 100% of the time. In debt with no money to put towards any type of art at all. Enough. I got back in my life and started making enough money to pay my bills. That was it. And I needed to get to that before I put the game out. Was get to a point where I could make enough to pay my bills and not need money from anything to pay my bills, right? Just that was my aim. Pay my bills and pay my debt, which is as long as I can cover it through my own work outside of this, I was ready to try to do something. And so I went at it like early access. I like the way DriveThru puts it, where you can put it up, and if you update it, like say like a Steam game, people get the updates. And so I pitched it. I actually promoted it as early access. And it's just because I said to myself, if I wait 5 years, like especially at my age, if I wait 5 or 10 years to do this, I'll be dead. It'll be a waste of time. Like this will be a pointless project. I would have wasted 30 years. I was at the stage where I'd already delayed putting it out for like 8 years. So at that stage, if I delay anymore, it becomes pointless to put it out. I want to have an experience with it. I'd rather put it out and fail trying than not put it out at all. But then I had to be real with myself. I can't do a professional looking thing. It's PDF. I got to be honest with the audience. I knew I'd have haters out there. I wasn't sure how effective their lies were going to be, but they were warning me before I put the game out. I mean, imagine this. I had YouTubers straight out telling me, we are going to give your game a bad review before I ever even put it on the market, before they seen it. Told me straight out I was automatically getting it. I got bad reviews, AJ. My text was a lot of text. I got bad reviews within 24 hours of guys who could not have even read a quarter of it. Complete lies. I had multiple YouTubers doing videos on it within 48 hours where they had no chance to read it or know what it was. They picked things out and then just lied about it. Gave me bad reviews. Lie. I had bad reviews on there that are like this big of guys that didn't read the game and didn't play it, didn't try it, didn't know anything about it. And they, at least with their own crowd, I'll give it to them. With their own crowd, they successfully sabotaged the game. And they lied about my pitch too. That was the main thing. I've been very accurate. Early access, it's very rough. I'm learning PDF. I'm going to update it over this amount of time. I started doing updates. I pitched this honest. I didn't want anybody to purchase it thinking they were getting something else. Very dead honest with what they were getting. You don't have to support it. You can even criticize it. Fair enough, but you can't say I'm lying to you. That was the point, right? So very honest about what it was, how rough it was, the way I was looking at it like a Steam game, early access. I said, look, the most I can do is be honest with people. I'm taking a very weird approach to this. I'll be honest. That's the most I can do. Every reviewer that was out there lied, even though my approach was so drilled into part of the package. They knew this. They actually knew it was the thing they couldn't avoid. They couldn't avoid the way I described the way I was selling my game and the honesty about it. That part I made sure they could not avoid. They still lied. And these were multiple old school YouTubers. Lied, made videos, streams, lying, saying, I'm trying to put out, this is my attempt at a product, but I failed because I suck at it. Complete lies, completely sabotaged my game with a certain crowd. And their negative reviews definitely sabotaged a lot of potential sales. Like they took money out of my pocket quite a bit. And I knew that could happen. But they told me, here's what I took a chance because they had told me over the years, no matter what issue we have with people, we won't attack your product for no reason. And even if we hate you, we'll give people that we hate in the hobby a fair shake. They have preached this. Same YouTubers too. Had all preached this over and over again. Said, We don't attack people's products. We'll give people a fair shake, even if we personally don't like you. Now, I sort of knew that was probably not going to be held up, but I was like, I could hope. I could hope I get a fair shake when I put it out. I mean, I could hope. They've been saying this for years. They drove this as a big principle they have. They all mention that they have it over and over again multiple times. I said, maybe, just maybe, they'll be honest, at least to some degree, and give me a slight fair shake. I put it out there. The lies were powerful. Bold face, not held back, no fairness, no nothing, not even a slight bit. I mean, just overwhelming deceit. I was like, it's one thing for people to not like the game. I could take that, right? It's the part where they're lying about it that bothered me. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm okay if people come back to me after getting it and trying it and telling me, oh, I don't like it, and even give me harsh criticism. And for the people that were actually reading it, you can ask them. Everybody who came to me that was actually reading it, I was responding to them, and they were actually happy with the response. It's just you can go on where the games are now, and you'll read these big reviews, and it's all lie. It's just a complete lie. The whole thing is a lie. None of it is true. It's just full deceit, but powerful, multiple X account guys, YouTubers, and the multiple videos were powerful. It was like in less than 2 days, it was like, and these were all guys with influence. They're all guys. Most of them have thousands of fucking subs, right? They all have influence over the fucking audience and the people that would consider the game. So they actually have major influence, and they're putting out these lies. And I was like, oh. I was like, is there anybody else putting out a game with this much of an attack? Like, this is overwhelming. It was like just so overwhelming. So I was like, no fairness at all. I said, is there a single person out here putting out a game that has this happening to them? With 6, 7, 8 YouTubers that have sizable fucking followings, that have major influence, lying about their game. Is there anybody else trying to put out a game where there's guys with major influence going on and doing these lie reviews that are like this massive, complete based on lies, and putting it on the game on top of the videos? I don't think there is. I think that was completely focused on me, and guys were giddy about doing it. So that's what happened with my game. Now I'm doing a big revamp on it. I'm actually cleaned up all the text. I'm very happy because I've learned so much of a PDF. It will look much nicer. And I hope that's going to actually get some sales, because I've sold a few even recently, but I hope that improves overall. I've changed some rules, added some new things, sort of doing like a revamp on the whole thing. Very happy with the game because the game works well. I'm going to run it in January again for a group in person because I love the game. I actually love my own games. I love both of them, Invasion and Skullhorn, which is Skullhorn's a medieval one, Invasion is a modern day one, right? With guns and everything. It works really, 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 really well, right? Fucking mint, perfect. So I'm going to run that again. I'm excited to, but it's like it's a shame because I think it's a great game, and a lot of people will see the lies and what am I supposed to do? So that's it. And I have not seen anyone else who tried to put out a game with that much heat on them. So I was like, there's nothing to compare this to. Like, no one has like 6, 7, 8 YouTubers for the influence, all purposely lying about their games and attacking it and sabotaging it. Nobody has this many fucking fake reviews going on their thing. Like, I could understand again. For all the people that gave me some criticism about what they read and responded to it, like honest responses, I responded. They were all at least happy with my response. I took them very serious, and I was ready for that. As you should be. You should, like, I'm a public person. I'm already used to taking heat on YouTube. I have no problem taking disagreements or people criticizing the game if they didn't like it. I was all ready for that part. My problem was the lies. And then if I mention at the time, well, these are lies. No, you just can't handle people not liking your game. I know it's easy to say that, dude. But I know they're lies. They're purposely lying. Like I know texts in the game where they're completely lying about the text. So they were just completely lying. They lied about my pitch to the whole thing. I have perfect guns for D&D. For old school, second edition. Perfect. Perfect shotgun, perfect rifle, perfect pistol. And for my Skullhorn, I have the same guns, pretty much similar play. And then for Invasion, I have automatic guns and grenades, and they work. Look, put it this way, AJ. I looked at mine as not perfect based on rules. I look at mine as an illusion of reality, right? So I like to play Rust and Daisy, polar opposites of each other. I hear you. So reviews are polar opposites. Yeah, if you don't have 8 YouTubers that are all getting together with thousands of fucking subs with major influence lying about you, and then going on and purposely putting up live reviews, that makes it a lot easier, right? Oh, when you had that happen to you, come tell me about that, right? But just to say, Invasion or let's say Rust and Daisy. So I play those games, and when I shoot guns, it's like shoot, 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 shoot. And I needed, I wanted guns to work like they do in those games, but still be able to be legit. It was simplifying them, but getting them to the point where you can do that. You can run around and you won't feel like it's just some game cheating aspect, but you can shoot off the guns really quick in the game. They're dangerous, but the pace and speed of like Rust and Daisy is there. And it's like you can do that at the table. You can bang, 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 shotgun, if you have like a pump shotgun. You can burst shots and everything properly with the rifle. And there's not multiple things. It's simplified. And my dice system is D100 versus target number. So there only critical failure is where you would meet all the issues, and critical failure can only happen on a 1. So and critical success is only on 100. So from 2 to 99, you shoot the gun and you never have an issue whether you hit or miss. It just speeds up gameplay. The rate of critical failure happenings very low. So most of the time, bang, 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 bang. And it's as quick as Daisy and Rust. I can't really make it more than that. And then I have things like rocket launchers and Invasion, grenades. I have like fucking tanks, right? And they work. They kick ass perfectly. The game is completely made for all this. They're as dangerous as you think they would be. So try not to get shot 50 times. But they kick ass. And I looked for a middle. Like I like 2nd edition. And then there's what I call sort of like the meatier, quicker pace of WotC for hit points growth, right? I said, I don't want what 5e has, which is all the saves and that makes it hard to die. At the same time, I don't want so old school that you have barely any meat on the bone, so you just die in like 1 shot most of the time. Like you can, there are shots that can kill you, but in my game, I feel like I found that through that type of, when compared to that gameplay, I found like a perfect middle ground between it's not over instantly, so there's a bit of gamey lasting in it, but it's also not so protective that when you get to the death, you're going to die, right? Like you're going to die. Like when you die, it's not like there's like 50 saves. There's like maybe 1 type of roll you can make before you're dead, right? But you're going to die, and so it's finding a balance between that and then making sure the timing of the fight. Like in D&D 2nd edition, a 20-minute combat scene in 5e is probably going to be about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it takes 20 minutes in AD&D 2nd edition, probably takes an hour and a half to 2 hours in WotC 5e, right? My game says add 10, maybe 15 minutes onto that 20 minutes, and you got my combat most of the time. And we're talking averages here, right? So it's like the 20-minute fight in 2nd edition might be 30 minutes to 35 minutes a month. In 5e, that's an hour and a half to 2 hours. Right. So it's just a difference. And it's simplifying actions where it's putting the things on the game that allow the extension of combat and then still understanding areas where it's to speed it up. Right. Like in my game in combat, it's you move, and when you take your action, that's it. Your thing's over. That means if you can move 60 yards, but you move 40 and then swing, Like you do whatever attacks you can do. That's it. But you'd be like, well, I got 20 yards. No, you don't. You take your move, you take your action, your thing is over. And say in a game like 5e, you'd be like, I can move so far, do the attack, move. I don't do that. That's completely cut off. You either take your full 60 yards or you take your 40 yards or whatever. But when you get to action, we're going to assume a lot of things are happening that we're not going to mention. That's going to eat up your time no matter what. And people are like, well, that might be unrealistic. I'm like, well, this is where I have no shame. I say this to people. Remember what I said to you about the other day about the measurement, some gamey, some this into it. I don't look at it like a pure video game, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to lean the gamey aspect in if I think it works better for the game overall. So it'd be like, that's unrealistic. Well, there's some small areas where, as long as I think it doesn't totally defeat the experience of the person playing the game, I'll take this hit here. This will speed up combat. Move, action, that's it. Move, action, that's it. You can get more than one action, don't get it wrong. But move, action, that's it. Right? And it doesn't mean there's not some nuance in there. There's some abilities that will allow you to do certain things that can extend actions. But is the extension of actions in the base part of the game? No, it's in other options. Like basically abilities you could have depending on the class focus you pick and shit like this. But is there a base element that keeps extending the combat with all these actions? No. So I look at the landscape of combat and go, what makes 5e combat go from 20 minutes from AD&D second edition to an hour and a half to 2 hours? So I'm like, it's, you think about each extra action, the description, each player you're going to deal with at the table doing it, boom, 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 each round. And you realize by the end, when you add up all this extended talk, decisions, taking the extra actions, you realize that's where you go from 20 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, what do I do to cut back on that? Eliminate quite a bit of this, simplify it down, put some more meat on the bone of the character, and I get the extension I want without the overkill. And I get a bounce where it's not just instantly over like it's at diddly. At the same time, I do not give you like 3 saves with the death thing. And the balance actually works. And I've done game testing on this for, like I said, like if you really count it up, like close to 25 years, especially even adjusting the meat on the bone with second edition to do some experimenting. So that's like 25 years of game testing and making changes, and that thing works mint. And I can probably extend the AD&D second edition combat up to like 30 minutes instead of 20, 30 to 35. And I get way better combat for the players without it being an hour and a half to 2 hours. And they get quite a bit of shit to do. Like depending, especially the characters they choose. If they pick combative characters, they'll get some extra gimmicks. But it's not just a base part of the game. And I don't look at rogue types as like warriors, for example. So I really let warriors stand out as warriors. And not just have that everybody is just perfectly capable of doing all these actions like everyone's meant for the fight now in that same way, right? And I have no shame in that. Again, it's like my rounds are, I go back to old school. So it's I tell people my game is inspired by old school on purpose. I on purpose do some things. So like, how long is a round for your game? A minute. They're like, but you could do this in 6 seconds. Yeah, but it's understand. I'm willing to accept part of this as a game. Like I'm not just pure realism. And at the same time, I look at like, yeah, you could do this, this, and this, and that's what WotC does. But that's how you get your 2 hours from 20 minutes. Right? That's how you get that. Okay. Okay, guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys. Well, I got some company that's over. There's your pre-show. That's a little over 2 hours. Yeah, just I appreciate the time, AJ. I will check out the game. Thanks for the talk and everything. That was a little bit of fun. And tonight I'll be back to cover Stargate SG-1 on members only, the role playing game. It's gonna be fun. All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, I love y'all. Take care for